Hello, and welcome to this live event here, the Best Football Show. I'm Brian Baldinger at Baldy NFL on all of the social media platforms. You can find this daily podcast, the Best Football Show, on your free Odyssey app, and you can download it, like it, subscribe it, watch it daily. We're going to be live here today. Feel free to submit your questions. We'll take all your questions. I'll do the best I can to answer them. A couple things that we're at the halfway point of the season. We've just finished week 9. We've got eight weeks left here, 10 weeks left, or 9 weeks left. So we're at the halfway point. The trade deadline has just come and gone. I think the Washington Commanders picking up Marshawn Lattimore was really important. What you saw, honestly, was good teams that have a chance to do some damage this year raid bad teams. You know, you look at Detroit raiding Cleveland of Zadarius Smith. You see Washington at with their record right now at 7-2, raiding the New Orleans Saints with 2 wins of Marshawn Lattimore. You see a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers go out and make 2 trades. They get Mike Williams along with Preston Smith, 2 positions of need that Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig, the guys, outside linebackers, play opposite TJ Watt. They've been hurt a good deal of the time this year. Preston Smith has largely been a healthy player. He can line up on your tight end. He can rush the passer. He can set the edge. I mean, he's a good football player. They've been looking for a receiver opposite George Pickens. Calvin Austin looks fine in the slot. Van Jefferson looks like a good, third. But they needed a real number 2. Mike Williams can be that guy opposite Pickens, and they know with Baltimore coming up next week, they go to Washington this week. A lot of division games coming up, Cincinnati, all that. They're going to need more firepower on the outside. It's just the way you got to do it. Just the way Kansas City went and got themselves DeAndre Hopkins. They're featuring, Travis Kelce right now. He's been targeted 28 times in the last 2 games with 20 catches, 190 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, they're figuring that part out. So one of the things that is just really interesting to me right now is there are 9 teams at the halfway point of the season that have 2 wins. 9. I mean, if you're Cleveland right now, if you're New Orleans who've just fired their coach, I mean, the season's over. You could go, if you're the Raiders right now with 2 wins, I mean, you'd be Max Crosby and go out there and go get yourself 10 sacks in the second part of the season and get into, and help your team the best you can. But honestly, it's kind of over. To think that any of these 9 teams that are either at 2-6 or 2-7 can win the last 8 or 9 games is kind of silly to think. Like, it's just not going to happen. They're flawed teams for a reason, and they have 2 wins for a reason, whether it's coaching, quarterback play, or name it. But, if you look at, say, like the Philadelphia Eagles, they feel pretty good about themselves. The Eagles right now have won 4 in a row, okay? They're sitting there at 6-2. They're basically a half a game behind the Washington Commanders, who are 7-2, and they play them after they play Dallas this week. And they play them at home. But, I mean, if you're Philadelphia and you've beaten the New Orleans Saints, the New York Giants, the Cincinnati, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Cleveland Browns, 4 of the 9 teams that have 2 wins, the Eagles have beaten. And let's face it, they struggled to beat the Saints, came down to literally the last possession. They struggled to beat Cleveland. Remember, they had a field goal blocked for a touchdown right before the half. Trevor Lawrence is got 1st and 10 inside the Eagles' 15-yard line, down 5 points, and he throws an interception on 1st down. The Eagles made the play. Credit to Kobe Dean. He got a game ball for it. But honestly, do you feel great? Like, if you look at the Eagles' wins, okay, it's a good win against Cincinnati, but they are a 4-win team. And they beat the Green Bay Packers in Brazil week 1, who look like a good football team. I mean, those are their 2 good wins out of the first 8 games. So, and they play Dallas this week that has 3 wins. So, and they've struggled in some of those games. So anyways, it's really, I can't remember a year where the separation between the good teams, the teams with 1 or 2 losses, whether it's Detroit or Washington or, pick a good team, Kansas City, and the haves and have-nots. I can't remember such a disparity as we have seen right now. And it also is part of the reason why there was so many trades made. We've had 16 trades, which is, I think, the second most all time before the trade deadline. And so, even a team right now, Tre'Davious White gets traded, to help, team out right now. Like you can see these teams going, okay, let's add a piece, let's add a corner. Tre'Davious has been a good player in this league, former number 1 draft pick. Let's pluck him and see what we can do right now. So I think some teams should have done more. Could Cleveland have parted ways with Dalvin Tomlinson? To me, the Jets could have easily used a guy like that inside on a run defense that has struggled. And they go to Arizona this week. And I spent the morning up in the Jets this week, and I was trying to let people know up there, like sometimes you go down to Arizona and you kind of sleepwalk a little bit, like it's not the greatest atmosphere. Although I'm sure with 5-4 in first place that you're going to see every Cardinal fan out there. You'll see them in full force. But honestly, if you go down there and sleepwalk with the Arizona Cardinals, they're going to hand you the lunch like the Chicago Bears did. The quarterback didn't play well last week. They gave up a 53-yard touchdown run to DeMarcado with 20 seconds to go in the half. Like they weren't ready to. They played soft, and he ran right through them. And next thing you know, the Cardinals are in the end zone. And their young players don't know any better. Starling Thomas and, Max Melton, their corners, they don't know what they don't know. They're rookies or young players. Starling, second-year player, but Max Melton, second-year player out of Rutgers. They don't know any better. They just go out there and play, and they play really hard. And Budda Baker, I think, is who I love, and he's been in this league a long time. I think it's the best year he's ever had. They're blitzing him a lot. They play him, he's down at the line of scrimmage. When he sees it, like he's just taking off and going. I mean, he's just taking guys right off their feet, full speed. They don't know what hits them. And they've just won 3 in a row. So if the Jets go down there and beat them, let's face it. I mean, they get to 4-6. They will have beaten a good team, a first-place team, and they get that long ride back to get ready for Indianapolis at home, and then they get a bye week before they get Seattle at home. Are the Cardinals, Marco Garcia here, says, are the Cardinals a playoff team? Well, I'll tell you what, they're in first place right now in the NFC West after 9 weeks. They've got wins against the Rams. They got wins against the 49ers. All right, so they're 2-0 in their division. All right, now they still have games with Seattle left, return games, obviously with San Francisco and the Rams. I think the Rams are going to be a good second-half team. I'll see the 49ers this weekend. They've had 10 days to get rest for their trip to Tampa. Tampa's on a short week. They were in Kansas City on Monday night. It's not really a great schedule for Tampa. It's going to be 88 degrees in Tampa on Sunday at 1 o'clock at kick. It's going to be tough on both teams. But can the Cardinals, look, if they can beat the Jets and get to 6-4, I think they're a playoff team. I think this week determines it. Now, if they lose, they're still there. But they got to go to Seattle and to Minnesota. And they got to go, win on the road. Now, they've won in San Francisco this year. All right. So they lost badly in Green Bay. Badly. It was the worst loss of the year. Although Washington was a bad loss. So are they a playoff team? I think, they made a move for a pass rusher, Baron Browning from the Denver Broncos. They basically sent a message to everybody in the Arizona Cardinal locker room. We're here to go to the playoffs. It's bunched up, basically one game separates 4 teams in the NFC West right now. So it's going to be a lot of, dogs eating their own right here. So we'll see how that survives. But they certainly can be because they play hard and they don't beat themselves. Kyler's done a great job. He's got 11 touchdowns. He's thrown 3 interceptions. He's fumbled 2 times. So he's turned over 5 times in 9 games. That's pretty good. If he does that and turns it over less than 10 times on a season, That's pretty good. And they really haven't uncorked on any regular basis Marvin Harrison Jr., which is a little mystery to me. He was really good against Miami, not so much last week against Chicago. But I feel like if they get Marvin going, they get Trey McBride continues to do what he's doing. He leads the team with 45 catches. Still doesn't have a touchdown catch, though. If they get those two really going, combined with their running attack of James Conner, Murray, DeMarcado, and now Trey Benson, the rookie, and they stay reasonably healthy. Defensively, they've lost a lot of players. But they're going to get their number one pick, Darius Robinson, back for the second half of the season. They could do it because of how hard they play. And honestly, they play the game the right way. They did last year. Remember, last year they won 4 games, and they beat the Cowboys. They went on the road and beat the Eagles. They went on the road and beat the Steelers. I mean, they beat 3 playoff teams last year, and they beat them up the way they're beating teams up this year. They ran the ball against them. James Conner had great games against all 3 of those teams. And so, and the offensive line is good. Paris Johnson, their left tackle, has not missed a snap since he started week 1 last year as a rookie. And he's playing left tackle this year, and he's doing just fine. So I like Arizona. I like what Jonathan Gannon's doing. I like what Nick Rallis, the defensive coordinator, does. His ability to timely blitz has been really good. He got to, if I remember correctly, he got an interception on Brock Purdy on a great blitz. They got last week, they got to Caleb Williams a couple of times where he didn't turn it over, but he didn't make a good play with it on a safety blitz, a couple other overloads that they had. I like this Cardinal team. I like the way they play. RJ says, overall thoughts on the Dolphins. Well, I mean, look, you look at Buffalo right now. They're sitting there at 6 and they're looking at Buffalo right now at 7-2, right? They're 7-2. The Jets are 4-6. Miami right now has 2 wins. Now, Tua played great last week. They still lost. Since Tua has come back, they scored 27 points the last 2 weeks. All right, they lost by a point to Arizona in the final drive. They put 27 against Buffalo last week. They play the Los Angeles Rams, who are playing much better football right now. And then they get 2 home games against teams that have 2 wins. If they find a way to beat the Rams at SoFi Stadium this week, to get to 3-6, with 2 winnable home games against Vegas and New England, they could get to 5-6, and then it's the season's on the line in Green Bay. Because if you go to Green Bay and you win, and I don't think defensively they play hard. I'm not sure they have enough defensively, especially at the end position. Chop Robinson showed up last week. A couple plays. It's good to see. Losing Jalen Phillips really hurts. They're down right now in sacks, period. They have a total of 10 sacks in their 8 games right now. But Devon Achane is awesome. Tyreek really has not gotten uncorked yet. He has 1 touchdown catch. The secondary with the Rams, I think, is weak. I think their front is good, but there's a lot of plays to be made down the field. I think this is their Waterloo for the Dolphins. I mean, they're not mathematically out of it by any chance. Getting Tua back and scoring 27 back-to-back weeks tells me, and Tua, I think, missed 3 passes the whole game last week. He was fantastic against Buffalo. This is their Waterloo. If Miami is thinking about the playoffs, and believe me, I've been on these trips where you go 6 hours across the country, and you go out there and you beat a Ram team that's won 2 in a row. They're 4-4. They're a better second half team. Stafford just is unreal. Nobody can take more punishment and just keep firing. He's unbelievable. And they're very well coached. But I've been on that plane ride when you win a game on the West Coast and you've got a 5.5-hour ride back. And you're feeling good about the win. And you're sore and tired and all that stuff, but you won. and you have a great plane ride home. You're playing cards, you're cutting it up, you're having a great time, bonding, and you're starting. And what would happen on that flight is this: Calais Campbell, in his, I don't know, 16th, 17th year, Tyreek, Jalen Ramsey, these veterans on the team, they're kind of huddled up going, hey, man, we get Vegas and New England at home. We can win those games. We'll get to 5-6. We'll be the team that comes out of this. So is it possible? It's possible because they have such tremendous firepower. And they've uncorked it 2 weeks in a row. All right. Canuck says, Baldy, great work, man. Can you explain what the Chargers need to make the next step? Okay. Why did they not get a wide receiver at the deadline? Well, look at Ladd McConkey. He leads the team. I'm pretty sure he leads the team in receiving right now. You look at, Quentin Johnston doesn't look like any kind of a first-round bust right now. He looks good. The thing that's amazing to me about the Chargers, as they sit at 5-3, is they've got the number one defense in football, and they hold Cleveland to 10 points. They intercept them 3 times. They're starting 2 rookie corners. They hold Cleveland at 10 points. Jameis Winston, 3 interceptions. They've won 2 in a row. This is the number one ranked defense in football. They've given up a grand total in 8 games now. They've given up 10 touchdowns. I don't know if anybody's given up less than maybe Pittsburgh, but they've given up the fewest points. They are on third downs. They're giving up less than 33% on third downs defense. They're getting off the field. Khalil Mack is having a great season all the way around. They got Joey Bosa back. The thing that I see from them, and this is a product of Jim Harbaugh, they used to be just a terrible tackling team. You could count on it. They tackle so much better right now. They've got real linebackers in Henley and in Perriman right now. It's a good duo. They've got a front 4 right now that can get after the quarterback. They can run the ball. Dobbins is having a good season. And now they're starting to open up just a little bit. I think they got to open up a little bit more. But, they've scored 26 points against New Orleans, scored 27 points last week. The offense is kind of opening up a little bit. You're starting to see a little bit more creativity to it. They're 5-3, and they play Tennessee at home this weekend, Cincinnati and Baltimore. So, okay, Tennessee, don't go to sleep on Tennessee. Their defensive line is real. Jeff Simmons dominated the games last week. Offensively, Tony Pollard's having a very good season. The line is good. I don't believe that they have great quarterback play. They should win that game, and then they get 2 AFC North teams with excellent quarterbacks. That defense will get tested. How do you feel about the Titans' offensive line? Look, I love the left side. I love J.C. Latham, Skoronski, Cushenberry. I love what they're doing. They're a left-handed team. Most of the time, they're running left. Pollard has been great. He's been, great. He's been very good in all phases of the game. The quarterback play has to get better. It just does. But I do like the way Callahan is coaching that line. They pop big runs in almost every single game this year. So I like what they're doing up front. Latham was absolutely the right pick. He's a difference maker. Pollard, by the way, he's averaging 4.4 yards a carry. I thought Calvin Ridley they should have easily had a touchdown last week. Mason Rudolph just made the wrong read. I think they could have easily gotten to the corner. But he's having, he had a good game last week against the Patriots. I think somebody asked me, out of all the 2-win teams out there, who's the best of the 2-win teams? And I said the Titans, because they're still playing pretty good defense for the most part. Pass defense, little suspect. But the defense line, with Arden Key and Landry and Tafondre Sweat, who I love, and Simmons. It's a good front. They're getting better in the trenches. They need better quarterback play. Right now they have thrown 12 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. They've thrown 9 touchdowns against 11 interceptions. They're just not productive enough. They lost games because of their quarterback. So, but I think there's improvement. I think Callahan's done a great job. They play hard. They win. But you're paid to play hard. That's what you should do. But they're not quitting. They're not hanging their heads. They thumped New England pretty good last week. So look, I like what they're doing up front. I like their offensive line. How good is the Chiefs' interior line? I mean, look, Detroit and Philadelphia, probably the 2 best offensive lines of football in any particular order. But if you said just the interior 3, if you said, just Tooney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith, they're as good as anybody and have been 4 straight years in a row. I think Creed has taken every snap since he's gotten there. I love Trey Smith. Tooney was, ever since they lost that Super Bowl to Tampa, and they drafted Creed in the 2nd and Trey in the 6th and added Tooney in free agency, those guys have been unbelievable. Now, I'm not here to criticize Jawan Taylor or Wanye Morris, but we know that's not the strength. But that interior, like, for example, on Monday night against Tampa with Vita Vea and Kalijah Cansey and some of these monsters inside, Kareem Hunt had 20 carries in the second half in overtime for 90 yards and a touchdown, the game-winning touchdown. They just punch you right in the mouth. I've told this to Creed a couple weeks ago when I saw him before the game against San Francisco. I said, man, if you want to, Creed, you could become a power football team. You could ride in Carson Steele and Kareem Hunt, and you could do all that stuff. They could cut teams up and play a physical style. They're very close to being a 50-50 team right now, run-pass ratio. They might be 51% pass, 49% run. They ran the ball great in the second half against Tampa, with or without Vita Vea in the lineup. But I would say just those interior 3, that they're the best in the league right now. Not knocking Ragnow and Glasgow and, Zeitler. They're probably right there with them. Like those 3, Detroit, Kansas City. I don't think I could name anybody that's superior to the Chiefs besides Detroit. The Eagles are really good inside, but they're just a great line when you include Lane Johnson, what Fred Johnson's doing, or when Mulata gets back in there. Overall, they're very, very good. They're playing great. Can you tell me the strides that you've seen from Jalen Carter take this season and the work effort behind it? So Jalen is a beast. Physically, there's Chris Jones in this league. There's Dexter Lawrence in this league. There's some phenomenal interior defensive linemen. I don't believe I could put Jalen in that category with Dexter or Chris Jones. It's just not right. They're too productive, both those guys, and they know how to take games over. But if you just looked at Jalen from the physical standpoint, just the physical ability, he's as good as anybody. His strength, his power, his base, his ability to bend, his moves, the array of moves. I talked to him last Sunday before the Jacksonville game, and I told him, I said, look, Jalen, he's going up against Brandon Sheriff much of the day. They slid the center to him, Mitch Morris much of the day. So he was double. But I said, you get to some real third downs now. Don't be afraid to come in and just shock, the offensive lineman and then come with the late swim. So he was listening. He's a very coachable kid. He had a couple plays in the game that physically not many people can do. His ceiling is phenomenal. I think he just has to keep, he's been healthy, which is good. He's playing a lot of snaps, which is good. He's out there a bunch. He's probably playing 70%, 75% of the snaps. I think he just has to, learn the game. Chris Jones wasn't Chris Jones in his second year. Dexter Lawrence wasn't even close to what he is right now in his second year. Like, these guys have to learn. They have to learn down distance, personnel, formations. He's got to learn the game. I mean, I played with Tony Siragusa, and Goose was one of the smartest people that I ever knew. He wasn't as gifted as Jalen Carter, but Goose was very gifted, and he was bigger. But, the thing, practicing against Goose every day, he knew what you're doing out of your stance. He knew what the play was by formation. Like, he would tell you what was going on before it ever happened. So he was a step ahead. Like, I don't think Jalen – I'd love to sit down with Jalen in the film room to see, but I don't think he knows that stuff yet. And then the thing that the great ones, Reggie White, Bruce Smith, Warren Sapp, what the great ones, Randy White, what the great ones learn how to do, Reggie especially, is learn how to take a game over. Okay, it doesn't matter what your stats are. It doesn't matter what has happened in a game. But there's going to be a play in the fourth quarter to be made that can change the game. Jalen's got that type. Not everybody has the ability to just change the game. Sack, fumble, force a holding call on third down, quarterback hit. I mean, you name. I mean, all those kind of things. Bat a ball intercepted, like all those kind of crazy type plays. Reggie knew how to do that. Knew how to take game over. Knew how to make the pass rush when you had to, and win when you have to. In that fourth down, when the game's in the balance. Jalen, you have to. It's good to be around veteran guys that have been in the league. Like, if you're playing in Buffalo and you're around Von Miller, Von could teach you that kind of stuff because he knows how to do that. That's why he's won 2 Super Bowls. Why he took the games over in both Super Bowls against Denver and Cincinnati, closed the games out. But it's Aaron Donald knew how to do that. Okay, but it's a lot to ask for a young guy in his second year, making 20 starts, 25, 23 starts. How to do that? He doesn't know how to do that yet, but he has ability, rare ability. If you had to draw up what a defensive tackle looks like, you'd want him 6'4", 320, with a wide base that has tremendous balance, power, and explosion, and he knows how to rush the quarterback. Like, he's advanced now, getting on the guy's edges and stuff. He's good. Okay. Do you believe the Falcons can contend for the Super Bowl? Well, I think they can definitely contend, obviously, for the NFC South. For a Super Bowl, I think they've got to get a lot better defensively. They have given up 15 passing touchdowns. 15 passing touchdowns right now in 9 games. That's a lot. Okay. You're on pace to give up, 30 touchdown passes. That's too much. Quarterbacks, have a pretty good, I want to see them affect the quarterback more. Maybe Matt Judon is going to come on. Maybe, a guy like Ebiketie, is going to come on. I haven't seen it yet. Grady Jarrett played great last week. I think they got to do more from the pass rush standpoint, especially at home. But the offense is starting to come. The offense line is playing well. Kirk is playing much, much better, playing actually great right now. He's throwing 17 touchdown passes. It might be one of his best seasons ever. Drake is a dominant player. Bijan had a great game last week. They've got pieces, but I can't see them right now, say, going to Detroit and beating Detroit. I don't see them being able to do that right now. The way that, I don't see their defense being able to, and maybe they don't meet Detroit. Maybe something happens along the way. But if you say, okay, Detroit, can they beat Washington? Yeah, they can, because I think their offense matches up with Washington's offense. We'll see what happens in the West with San Francisco, the Rams, and that group, to see who comes out of that. Last year the Rams were a good second half team, and even they gave Baltimore, they played tough in the playoffs. So we'll see how that finishes. But I think they need a few more monsters on defense right now to really contend for Super Bowl. Because if they meet Detroit, you better be able to get to Jared Goff, and they don't look like they have that sort of firepower to do that. And force him into mistakes right now. So I would say that's a real concern. What do the Bengals need to do to win tomorrow night? So Thursday Night Football tomorrow, they go to Baltimore. Joe Burrow, in 2 games this year, has thrown 5 touchdown passes. He threw 5 against Baltimore the first time. Remember, Baltimore went there week 5 in the jungle, won in overtime 41-38. The Bengals should have won that game. I saw Joe before that game, just sitting on the bench, just said hello to him and just said, man, Joe, I feel like you got to be perfect. And he agreed, but it's not perfect like he's not allowed to miss a pass. He just can't make mistakes. The secondary in Baltimore, they picked up Tre'Davious White. Maybe he plays. Even last week, Denver, Bo Nix had guys open. He had Lil Jordan Humphrey open the back of the end zone. He airmailed it. He had Trey, the rookie from Oregon. He had him wide open in the end zone. He overshot him. So I feel like there's going to be those opportunities. And it's going to be a shootout. Lamar threw 4 touchdown passes in that game against Cincinnati. I feel like it could be a similar type game. I heard Joe, after their win on Sunday against the Raiders, already give the coach's speech. Like, get your rest, get your mind right, get your body right. We got a fast turnaround on the road. So defense, I think, has a chance to play better. They've got a lot healthier now than they were against Baltimore in week 5. So that's good. So 5 weeks later, I think they're healthier. Trey Hendrickson leads the league in sacks. He's got to have a monster game, but it's got to be more than Trey. So I feel like we'll see if T. Higgins can go. He makes a difference. But Yossi is good. Joe Burrow, though, he probably might have to throw 5 touchdown passes to win. But to answer your question, Joe has to be perfect. He can't turn it over. Can't give Baltimore an extra possession. It'd be good if the defense could turn it over. They did in the last game against Baltimore. It'd be good if they can take the ball away. And, when you get to the red zone, you got to score touchdowns. And last week, Joe was awesome in the red zone. He scrambled well. He hit Chase Brown. He hit Yossi. He hit the tight end, Gesicki. He converted in the red zone a bunch last week. 4 times. 4 of his 5 were in the red zone. So, and when the Raiders broke down last week, he made him pay. So, that would be that's what Cincinnati's got to do. Joe's got to be perfect. If they win this game, they're right back in the race. Baltimore drops back to 5-4. Cincinnati, jumps up to 4-6. This game is, this is big for Cincinnati right now. This has been the Best Football Show. Thanks for joining me. I will be here. I'll be here on Friday after Thursday night's game and breaking that Cincinnati-Baltimore game down and getting ready for Week 10. Thanks for joining me, everybody. This has been the Best Football Show, and I'm Brian Baldinger.